Welcome, my Galactic Jedis, for the 24th episode with me, your host, Ismael Perez. How are you guys doing out there? I hope everyone out there is vibing high, staying positive, and more importantly, grounded with these crazy energies that we are about to experience as powerful CMEs keep coming in. We're getting ready to pretty much experience the biggest CMEs ever sometime this month, guys. Okay, a lot of people are talking about something big happening on mid-September. First and foremost, how are my Galactic Jedis doing? I hope you guys are doing great. Happy Sunday. I apologize for not going live yesterday night. I wanted to do it at the studio. I knew I was coming today to the studio to work on more material, so I wanted to do it here to have a professional setting, you know, good lighting, good audio, and of course, good camera. So that's the reason why I waited another day to have this live with you guys. But boy, do I have some great intel, some documents that you guys could actually access through the Freedom of Speech Act, government.org, or is it government.org? A lot of the declassified information that was released regarding some of the programs that were being implemented by the CIA. Okay, so according to these records, guys, these are the actual records that you yourself could actually investigate on your own. Everything regarding the supernatural, regarding the power of our mind, from astral projection, remote viewing, psychokinetics, right? It's like what is called telekinesis, telepathy, psychometry, and all these other advanced ways of executing supernatural feats with our mind has been documentally proven and researched for many, many years. And all the documents are in these papers, guys, by the way. So one of the first things that they unclassified, let me see, where's my little mouse here, is the energy bar tool. Magic wands and enchanted scepters have been part of the folklore and occult practices for many cultures. So now we have evidence that, you know, all the secret, supernatural, what was once considered esoteric, has been scientifically proven, guys, through these classified records. The scepters, staffs, and maces carried by monarchs and high priests alike occur with such frequency in the history of bygone areas as to suggest that at the very least, these items are aspects of some type of archetypal symbol which the human mind seems to appreciate, perhaps quite subliminally. In any case, the energy bar tool technique involves envisaging, can't even pronounce that word, envisaging, I can't even say it, visualizing it, I guess, a small intensively pulsating dot of light which the participant charges in his imagination with enormous energy until it is virtually pulsating. The participant then extrudes the dot into the shape of a sparkling, vibrating cylinder of energy, which he then uses to channel from the universe to selected parts of his body for the purpose of healing and revitalizing. Okay? This is all coming out of the classified documents, guys. Another thing that they were able to use science to validate is remote viewing, which is very similar to astral projection. All right, so in addition to remote viewing, the energy bar tool is used as a portal for initiating a follow-on technique called remote viewing. In this context, the participant turns to his bar of energy into a swirling vortex through which he sends his imagination in search of new and illuminating insights. The apparent purpose of the symbolism involved in the vortex seems to be to cue the subconscious and convey it with instructions as to what the participant wishes to do, but in terms of nonverbal symbols which the right hemisphere of the mind is capable of understanding. All right, and of course this also relates to astral projection, right? Leaving the body at will and memorizing, or of course retaining the memory of what it was like when we left our body. So they call it living. This is a different technique that they use. They call it the living body map. This technique provides amplifications for applications of the energy bar tool as it means of healing specific areas or systems of the human body. Oh, I'm sorry. The living body map is a little different than astral projection. This is about focusing and directing all of your energy. You know, if you want to heal any particular pain or anything in any of your body parts, by focusing, according to the research, you could actually focus the energy to any body part and heal at will. So that's just to give you an example. Among some of the classified information, we also had, of course, this is all under the name of Project Gateway, by the way, guys. So we go into the Soviets and their study in parapsychology. Okay, so as you guys know, the US government was competing with the Soviets in the development and enhancement of psychic powers and abilities. So this is another document that is about developing telekinesis, telepathy, and astral projection. So what we have here is we have a competitive, two competitive agencies. One is here in the US, and then one is, of course, in Russia, leading the way towards, you know, pretty much proving the fact that all of these abilities are actually very real. And then last but not least, guys, oh, before I dive into last but not least, there's also declassified information revealing that Project MK Ultra, right, which is mind control, is actually very real. All right. So that was the code name. Project MK Ultra was the code name for a covert CIA mind control and chemical interrogation research program run by the Office of Scientific Intelligence. This official U.S. government program began in the 1950s, containing at least through the late 1960s, and it supposedly used United States citizens as unwitting test subjects. So apparently a lot of people are sleeping cells, according to this document, have been groomed by the CIA with certain, I guess, key words or codes that are supposedly able to create a certain alter in certain individuals. Well, when you think about like these mass shootings that take place, when you think about you know, just things that we hear in the media of certain individuals that just kind of lose their mind, perhaps these individuals are all under the control of the CIA, you know, because a lot of the times when they're facing trial, they always say that they pretty much forgot, you know, they don't have any recollection of what exactly happened. It's almost like they were completely under hypnosis when that happens. Okay, and last but not least, guys, okay, there is declassified information, right, in the records that states that we not only have established communications and interactions with extraterrestrial intelligence, but they have actually recorded some of the interactions and the highly classified information with extraterrestrial intelligences. So according to this document, it is a fact that we are not alone in the universe. A few years ago, this notion seemed far-fetched. Today, the existence of extraterrestrial intelligences is taken for granted by most scientists. Since Bernard Lovell, one of the world's leading radio astronomers, has calculated that even all following for a margin of error of 5,000%, there must be in our galaxy about 100 million stars which have planets of the right chemistry, dimensions, and temperature to support organic evolution. If we consider that our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is but one of at least a billion other galaxies similar to ours in the observable universe, which is, by the way, only the 4%, the other 96%, they can't even pierce or measure. They call it dark matter and dark energy. So, yeah, the observable universe, the number of stars that could support some of the life form is to reach an astronomical figure. As to advance by miserable Earth standards, forms of life, Dr. Frank D. Drake of the National Radio Astronomy Observatory at Green Bank, West Virginia, has stated that putting all our knowledge together, the number of civilizations which could have arisen by now is about 1 billion. The next question is, where is everyone? Okay, so this is all information that you, my galactic Jedis, could also investigate on your own. It's a lot of information. Okay, go under the Act of Freedom government.gov, and access any declassified piece of information, guys. All right, if you guys want to do your own research, a lot of this information has been validating a lot of my claims that I've been talking about in a lot of my interviews. All right, just to give you an example, from project, I guess from this project, there are also other projects like Project EBs, Project Oak Tree. Okay, so these are projects where they're actually enhancing abilities that are considered X-Men superpowers in certain individuals. Project Stargate, in other words, that's another program where they use human dolphin hybrids, believe it or not, guys, to access the different stargates that are located within our oceans. So as I speak right now, guys, a lot of these highly, classified information, a lot of it which hasn't yet been declassified, are involving these human animal or human dolphin-like hybrids programs that do exist, that have been going on for the last 50 years. Okay, so obviously the rabbit hole is much deeper than what we thought, guys. Okay, so it seems like these hybridization programs have been ongoing since the 1950s, okay, where they're admixing different genetics from, different species in order to have certain human hybrids to be able to live or breathe underwater for long periods of time. All right, guys? It's all within the classified information. Now, another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is because of the fact that it is reported that we are going to be receiving some intense CMEs in September, perhaps something on a scale that we've never received before, which could ultimately trigger the Great Solar Flash. We are actually witnessing fleets, armadas of motherships that have been coming into our solar system, all right, within the last week, and they have been parking all around our sun in a shape or in the form of an arc. And I believe that there's a video about that going on, okay, that is showing that motherships are coming into our solar system and are docking. They're stationed right around our sun, which means that they're there for various reasons, okay? I believe that these motherships are actually benevolent. They're coming from the higher advanced civilizations, right, where they are very spiritually advanced, and that are here for various reasons. A, to make sure that if, in case this is the grand solar flash that's coming, perhaps on the 23rd, because I know a lot of the people out there are pointing at the 23rd as this great day this month, but I'm not saying it's going to happen on the 23rd, but due to the fact that the most powerful CMEs are coming in, let's just assume that perhaps these higher intelligences are actually here to buffer some of that energy that perhaps could result in some catastrophes of some kind. Okay, so they're here to pretty much allow a smooth transition to take place, a smoother transition. All right, so that's why they're coming in and they're parking their motherships, and right around the sun, right around our sun, guys, because something big could be happening this month. So it's best to be prepared. More importantly, be grounded with Mother Earth. All right, and make sure that you guys are also drinking a lot of water, eating healthy, okay, because a lot of powerful energies are going to be coming in the next 2 weeks. So right now we are receiving a lot of help from, again, civilizations beyond the second harmonic universe that are coming from the third harmonic universe, which are very advanced spiritual races. So that's what I think is happening right now within our solar system, is that they're here assisting us to make sure that this transition goes very, very smooth. All right, so I'm willing to take some questions. I mean, there's a lot of information in these documents, guys. Some of the information goes into how they were actually developing different grades of what they call TKs, telekinetics. After a certain level of developing telekinesis, some of these you could say, subjects that were part of these experiments were able to pretty much use their telekinesis to influence, a huge boulder, a rock, something as big as a house. So once they get to level 8 telekinetic power, or level 9, they are extremely like Jedis, guys. At that point, they could influence big objects, from a distance with their minds. And I am pretty sure that these are some of the subjects that they have used in these off-world programs, okay? So they're called telekinetics 8 and above. So they have a measuring device, you could say, as they are developing people's telekinetic abilities within these programs. So I'm going to get to some questions. Trying to find a little arrow here. Oh, there's my little arrow. All right, so let's see. I'm going to answer the first question. All right, Tristan Early. Thank you, Tristan. I want to acknowledge a lot of you regulars here. Cosmo Girl, Neo, Tristan Early. Who else? Radiant Guardian. Who else am I missing? Elena, Angelica. I just want to acknowledge a few of you guys. Thank you for always being here. Tristan, your question is, I like the way you think. Appreciate that, brother. We all pretty much think alike. That's why we're here, right? We pretty much attract I can't even say it. We attract similar energy to ourselves, guys. So that's what makes us a tribe, is that we are attracted to each other's energy because we are operating at a very high level of thinking. Lynn, I appreciate and acknowledge your donation. Thank you, sister. And I like your little cartoon character. Reminds me of Superman. Oh, by the way, guys, you guys want to know the truth behind the Superman story? All right, so Superman is supposed to be representing the king of Cyrus, Kal, which was the king that established the original ruling Anuhasi bloodline. It was a story depicting a man that would, come in from a higher reality, from an advanced civilization with superior genetics, capable of observing our sun's energy, making, I guess, his body, indestructible, capable of defying gravity, which allows him to fly. That whole concept is about King Kal, okay, of the House of El. So there's a lot of truth to these comics, guys. All right. So King Kal was a real king, a real warrior that was actually the progenitor or the ancestor of Zeus. Zeus comes from the lineage of Kal, of Sirius B, of the House of Elion, which is, of course, the House of the Lion. So that is the reason, as I mentioned last week or a few days ago, that the Jews, that's the reason why it was very hard for them to believe that Jesus was, the incarnating Messiah 2,000 years ago, because they were expecting a Superman figure. They were expecting somebody from the lineage of the House of El, right, the progenitors of Zeus, to come to the earth and overthrow the Roman Empire, like Thor, descending down in lightning bolts and commanding the elements. So that's the reason why they don't believe in Jesus as the Messiah. And they're still expecting that type of figure to come with lightning bolt and, electricity coming out of his eyes. Very interesting stories. All right, so Kloa, is it Koa? Koa Tran. Thank you for the little cartoon character saying number 1. I appreciate that. And for the donation, sister. Thank you, thank you. Oli Blue, how you doing, Oli Blue? Thank you for being here and for the $20 donation. I appreciate that. All right, let's get to some questions, guys. If you guys want to give donations, feel free and ask a question to go with that. Let's see. Oh, there is a question I do want to address by one of the Galactic Jedis that lives in the UK, who is apparently unable to join us on the live due to the time difference. She goes by the name of Kay Shira. She lives in the UK. And she says, Ishmael, I do have a question. Could you outline the reptilian traits? Okay, so to answer the first part of your question, Kay, the reptilian traits are very, it's a type of mentality that craves power, materialism, resources. It's very narcissistic. We could actually trace the origin of all, evil and dominating behaviors to the reptilian genetics. So the traits are very dominating, very narcissistic, very self-serving. They have no empathy in their bones. They cannot relate to other living life forms because all they care about is the end game of their own agenda. So even if it's at the expense of others, and they view all life forms, planets, and resources as material commodities, where they could just go into any system, exploit the race, completely, genetically downgrade the race, and if they wanted to, take all the resources and do whatever they want with the planet, sell it to the highest bidder. Okay, so that is a typical reptilian characteristic. We could actually compare the concept of the draconian reptilians to the biblical archetype of the demons, or fallen angelics, demonic entities. Same, they're all one and the same. Okay, so the second part of our question is, what is the reptilians' modus operandi and paradigm shift enforced upon the earth? Okay, so ever since the Luciferian rebellion took place in Atlantean times due to the children of Enki, Thoth, right? Thoth and Marduk Belial Baal, when typically known as the lineage of the serpent, their first, you could say, blueprint, or the type of society that they inserted into the collective unconscious mind of humanity, is one of service to the master, which incorporates the worship gene. And that's how they were able to create religions. All religion it's just the old worshiping of the old gods, consolidated into one god. Okay, that's what Marduk did. That was the origin of the Babylonian religious, we could say, religious discordance that later manifested in the Roman Catholic Church. All right, so that is their modus operandi. Yes, it's pretty much to control, subdue, and create a slave race that will always be looking at them for resources, for food, and really just to exist. All right, so we could trace everything that has to do with totalitarianism, communism, dictatorships, the empires, absolute power and control, to the reptilian operandi. Okay? And paradigm shift enforced upon the earth. An equally state what being human entails. Okay, so to answer that part of the question, or the last part of the question, what does it mean to be human? Well, first we have to understand that we are eternal beings, spirits, experiencing a human expression, or a human experience. So to me, what it means to be human is to be source or God incarnated in the flesh, in physical form. That's what it means to me to be human, to be source incarnated in the flesh. Okay? But it could also mean a lot of things. It could also be being what? Being very in service to others, being human, humane. That's when we derive the word humane, right? Which is similar to being a benefactor, a person who gives, a person who nurtures, a person who is there for others, who is always trying to uplift his fellow man. Okay, so those are just, I guess, coming from a service to others mentality, which is the creation myth that was given to our ancestors, the original Lyrans, which later, of course, through subsequent generations of establishing the different colonies or human colonies throughout the universe, that was the same principles that was carried forward. So to be human is to be Christ-like, is to be God in the flesh, is to express the divinity that emanates and embodies all of creation through our thoughts, actions, and words. All right, so I just wanted to answer that question for our sister who is in the UK, perhaps perhaps dreaming in her fifth dream by now, but it's like 2:30 in the morning or 3:30 in the morning over there. All right, let's capture more questions. Ricky Lee. Hey, Ricky Lee, thank you for being here. Appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you for your support and the Galactic Jedis. All right, Joyful. I appreciate you being here, and I also appreciate your donation. And your question is, Ishmael, is there any prayer or help the Galactics can help give to my mom who has dementia? She lives with me, and it's been very difficult these past few years. Patiently hoping for her to heal with a medbed. Well, like Antonia revealed last week. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to bring Antonia on, but this time we're going to be using a better Wi-Fi and a different software, a different StreamYard that will hopefully allow you guys to hear her clearly, because she had a lot of good information to share. So, there's, aside from the medbeds, Joyful, there are different ways in which we could use our healing abilities to heal others, okay? I don't know if you're familiar with Kundalini Yoga, but there's certain meditative techniques that will allow you to harness spiritual potential or spiritual energy, and then you could redirect that energy over to your mom, and as you put your hands above her, and transfer that energy over to her nervous system, to her mind, and use your feelings to feel what it's like, and use your thoughts to also visualize what it's like to heal her from dementia, and see if that works. Because aside from the medbeds, we have to understand that we have that power in us, guys, to heal. I guarantee you that a lot of you light warriors out there are also healers, okay? All right, so Tony Lopez has a very good question. Ishmael, can you go into more detail on the 6 harmonic universe and specifically 16-dimensional pure light? I appreciate it. It's the main question I have, by Tony Lopez. All right, well, first of all, I want to welcome you here, Tony. Thank you for being here, brother. Well, believe it or not, guys, for the last 995 billion years or so, we've been existing in 5 harmonic universes within the 15-dimensional time matrix, where each harmonic universe consists of 3 different dimensions. Okay, that's been a process that's been going on for almost 1 trillion years. Okay, that's called a cosmic cycle. So that is part of the grand cosmic cycle as we now explore the ascent, as we return back to source, right, back into the oneness of everything that is. We have also created, through our experiences here in the lower dimensions, we've also created or allowed a further expansion of cosmic creator consciousness, which is prime creator source, who is the mind that underlies and encompasses the 15-dimensional time matrix to evolve into 3 more dimensions, creating what is known now as the 6 harmonic universe, which occupies the newfound dimensions of 16, 17, and 18. So, which means that the spirit of the omniverse, right, which is the consciousness that embodies the entire multiverse, has now reached another level of consciousness through all of our individualized experience. Not only us, but all of our families of light out there, all the different galactic humans and non-human species that have been experiencing life in all the different densities and dimensions throughout the multiverse. And that's the reason why the 6th harmonic universe is now coming into existence. Because of that. Because we are at the end of the descent, right, of the involution of spirit into matter. So now we are going to bounce back up. As we enter harmonic universe 2, and we exist in dimensions 4, 5, and 6. And then after that, guys, it's an upward steady ascension or evolution as we become pure beings of light once again, which is where we really come from. All right, Hope Rising. She says, I just want to send love to all the Jedis. All waves, thanks for paving the way. It's been a long road. Indeed it has, Joy, Hope, indeed it has. Also, can we help? Can we have spirit guides in human form? I think someone I know is a light being. Their higher self help me. Well, our spirit guides could materialize or project a physical form at will, but they don't always stay in that physical form. To give you guys an example, when I was 2 years old, I had an incident where I almost drowned in a swimming pool. All right, the people that were supposed to be watching over me or after me, which were my aunts, my mother's sisters, were actually walking 5 to 10 steps ahead of me. And I took a misstep, and I actually, as a 2-year-old toddler, not knowing how to swim, I fell into this 15 feet deep pool. And I was just, due to my big head, I've always had a big head, I wasn't floating. You know, I started sinking all the way down. So all I remember, and I think according to what my aunt said, because I do have memories of that, you know, believe it or not, guys, some of my memories could go back to when I was 1 or 2 years old, which is insane. But according to my aunts, what they were telling me is that this mysterious man jumped into the pool, he rescued me, got me out of the pool, and then when my aunts turned back to thank him, he was gone like that. He vanished within a second. So to answer your question, yes, our spirit guides, if they need to, they could materialize physical form at will. And then, of course, dematerialize physical form. Okay? Thank you, Journey, with Mariposa for the for the compliment. You know, I've always resonated with Superman, guys. Out of all the superheroes, Superman has always been my favorite. Because I've always felt that there was some truth to that. All right, Kathy Kurg. Thank you for the donation, sister, and for the #1. I appreciate that. What does it mean to collapse into one timeline? That's a very good question. All right, so as you guys know, and as supported through the quantum model of reality, there are an infinite number of alternative Earths, each slightly different, where you have different versions of yourself existing on multiple states all at the same time simultaneously. So to answer your question, what it means to collapse everything into one timeline is by integrating and aligning or anchoring rather, by integrating and bringing back all those versions of yourself from these alternative Earths, you could actually collapse everything into one timeline where all the other timelines will cease to exist because all your consciousness will be focused. Well, instead of being scattered, it'll all just be tuned to one specific timeline. Now, in order to do that, it's very hard. You have to master and practice some sort of advanced meditation. You have to be very, you have to easily learn how to access the delta wave brain state of consciousness and the gamma brainwave state of consciousness, all right? Which a lot of the ascended masters, a lot of the Eastern teachings from the yogi traditions have achieved, you know, and we all have within that. We all have that within us as well. Okay, guys? All right. And yes, this means that it'll also change our DNA, Kathy, because as we collapse the different versions, because remember, our consciousness is scattered, okay? It's scattered. You're only using about 1% of your consciousness just to be here in this timeline or in this version of the Earth, whereas the other 99% of your consciousness is scattered throughout different alternative timelines and parallel realities. So if you achieve the collapsing of all these different alternative versions of you and you collapse them into one, that means you're going to be using 100% of your full mental capacity. In other words, you're going to be like, you're going to be super powerful. You're going to have the ability to manipulate time, space, and matter at will. You could literally pause reality in the middle of a street in New York and watch everybody just pause. So you could literally play with reality if you ever do that. That means all your potential and all your focus instead of being scattered throughout alternative versions of Earths, are all in the here and the now. Now, how does each dimensional aspect work? Well, it all depends. It all depends because in the third dimensional universe, there are different alternative third dimensional selves, and they are as physical as you in this particular version. In the fifth dimensional universe or in the fourth dimensional universe, your body becomes less denser. Okay, now you have more potential. So not only are we capable of collapsing the different third dimensional aspects of ourselves, but also the other higher dimensional aspects of ourselves that are existing in higher levels of reality beyond the third dimension. But again, very soon, as we continue to use more genetic material, new abilities are going to be developing, guys. We're going to be having amazing powers. And all this has been predicted, by the way. A lot of this stuff has been predicted. All right, let's see. I'm going to take a random question. All right, so Palma Trota has a question. Hi, Palma. Thank you for being here. Palma wants to know, will we transform to our younger self at the time of the solar flash? Well, it's not like you're going to be looking like a child or a kid again or an adolescent. You're actually going to regress to the age that you were when you were 30. So if you go into the fifth dimension, Palma, you're definitely going to look like you did when you were in your prime. Because your body's just going to be, due to the activation of the light body, your body's just going to be constantly regenerating. Your cells are going to be regenerating at the speed of light. All right, so somebody wants to know, explain monad. Okay, so the monad is the first. Okay, so you have prime creator source in its purest, raw, unlimited power, its state of unlimited, potential. Imagine that potential first divided into its first division. It first divides into the monads. So originally there are 12 monads. Okay, some people call those the 12 archetypes, the 12 mighty Elohim, the 12 archangelics, so on and so forth. Now, in turn, each monad divides into 144,000 oversouls, okay? And then in turn, each oversoul divides into another 144,000 avatars. And then in turn, each avatar divides into 144,000 individualized personalities, which is what we are here in the third dimension. So which means that as we ascend, as we go into higher dimensions, we are going to be collapsing like Russian roulette dolls. We're going to be collapsing, 144 aspects of ourselves, right, that exist in these alternative realities, parallel Earths, into one, right? And then from there, we're going to be collapsing our avatars, 144,000 avatars, into the oversoul. And then at that point, we're going to the final collapse, as we reach the 12th dimension, is we're going to collapse all the oversouls into the monad. See, the monad is who we are in the 12th dimension. That is our God self, okay? That is where we are all heading. That is the ultimate goal. So right now we are from our monad self. We have been fragmented all the way down to the lowest dimensions, guys. So as we continue ascending, we're going to be integrating different aspects of ourselves, okay? More of our potential is going to be coming through. It's a beautiful mathematical correlation, guys. We're only using 4%, right, of our full genetic material, and therefore we can only perceive 4% of the entire missing universe. But as we, begin to use more genetic material and more brain power, all of the other 96% of the so-called missing universe, it's going to become more visible to us, and then we're going to be able to interact with those versions of reality as well. So my interview with Antonia is going to be at the same time, 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time. But this time, we're going to be using a different streaming that's going to allow you to actually hear her. All right? Because what she has to share about her, latest breakthrough, which is, hacking our cellular regenesis energy systems in order to become younger, is pretty cool, guys. It's pretty cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Angel's voice. Thank you. Thank you. I will continue making more videos, guys. Oh, and by the way, some of the, you could say, videos that I've been recording here at the studio is to go into great detail regarding all of this declassified information, guys. All right, where the CIA has been involved, right, in the development of superhuman ability since the 1950s, since the late 1950s and 60s. So eventually, of course, okay, the 12 monads, the 12 archetypes in which is where we come from, right? We're final extensions of that, fractals of that, eventually collapse into the one infinite creator and its infinite potential. So what does that tell you guys? That we are it. We are pretty much fractal fragments of the one infinite creator. And as we evolve or ascend back into oneness, we all become one. We all become part of a singular, all-pervading consciousness, which I'm starting to believe that at the underlying level of all physics and energy, it's exactly what quantum mechanics or quantum physicists called the unified field. This field of pure potentiality, right? Which they call it a living intelligence. And something I've come to understand in my vast research and insights is that this living of infinite potential and intelligence corresponds exactly to the spin at the core of all universes, all galaxies, and then of course the motherverse, which is a self-generating swirl of power, self-sustaining, right? So it's called it's called different by different names. They call it the unici, the state of ultimate unity, the one unqualified absolute in which everything comes from, guys. It is living. It's a living intelligence. So when we look into the center of the Milky Way and we see that spin, which is, by the way, not a black hole, it's actually a white luminous hole, all right? It's a white luminous hole. But the reason why it appears black to us is because we're measuring using Newtonian mechanics, all right? We're failing to go interdimensional into higher levels of reality. So it appears to be black. But in essence, it's self-generating consciousness, aware. It's pretty much the point or the mind, the point, the focal point of the mind of the galaxy. That's what that is, okay? And then in turn, the focal point of the mind of the galaxy was also, that also emerged from the focal point of the mind of the universe, all right? Because the universe also has a spin at the center, which is a living, conscious, unifying energy field that is self-regulating, regenerating as well, and self-sustained, okay? And then furthermore, that all universes that have that spin at the center were emergent from the always existing Isle of Paradise, which is at the center of the Mother Universe. Thank you. All right. All right, so Elizabeth says, Zeus is my father. I see him in the clouds. Well, believe it or not, guys, a lot of us here are children of the descendants of Zeus, of all the heroes of old. Great, we have 673 watching. Awesome. All right, this is another good question. Tony Lopez. Tony Lopez says, Ishmael, what's the difference between in your eyes, the difference between in your eyes, the merkaba, and the solar rishi, the 5th D versus the 13D version? Well, the difference is, okay, so I don't know what you're referring to What's in between my eyes? You mean the third eye, the pineal gland, right? Okay, so the pineal gland, as revealed in many of the esoteric, manuscripts, is the seat of our soul, they say, right? It is where we are able to astral project, right? Remote view and leave our body at will to explore other dimensions. So, your question is there a difference between our third eye chakra and the merkaba? I would say that all of our 7 chakras, all our 7 spiritual centers, combine, once they activate, they collapse into pure white light, right? The 7 rainbows, the 7 spectral radiations collapsing into the one light, becoming our merkaba, or our light body, all right? Our light body is fully active in the 5D, and it continues to exist and increase in its momentum, right? Like the torsion field I was describing, right? That's what we are, guys. We are the exact replica of our galaxy and our universe, right? At the center, through the chakras, we are spinning spheres of energy, vortexes. That's what we are. So as we evolve, as we ascend beyond the 5th dimension, that sphere, that momentum just continues to increase. And then once we reach the 12th dimension, to answer your question, Tony, it becomes liquid light. At that point, we are beyond crystalline DNA. We are beyond double diamond etheric matter DNA. We go into pure liquid light hydroplasmic genetics. Okay? Now, the question about the solar rishi. Okay, so a solar rishi is pretty much an entity that has already evolved beyond the 12th dimensional point of existence as liquid light. It is an entity that is actually existing in pure light, that could literally materialize any physical body, any figure, any shape at will, and then dematerialize back into pure energy, into becoming one with the unici, again, the underlying field of all existence. So that is what a rishi is. A rishi is a cosmic entity that operates at the level of the 15 dimensions, or what we call harmonic universe 5 and above. All right? So get this, my brother Tony. Some of us are rishis that are training here on the earth right now in physical form, that are going to be guardians of the new matrix, right? As we enter this new cosmic era, that are going to be operating for harmonic universe number 6. All right? So we are being, a lot of the new cosmic rishis are actually experiencing, being human at this time right now. So some of you guys are probably cosmic rishis and don't even know it yet. But this is a good training ground, right? In order for us to remain humble, so that we could use our abilities for good as we oversee, perhaps the next cosmic cycle that takes place for another 995 billion years. All right, so Avatar Ramsey has, you've been trying to contact me about a message regarding the war between the gods and the titans. Well, history is cyclic and it tends to repeat itself. But this time, again, the gods are re-emerging through us, the starseeds, guys. We have the archetypal blueprint of the gods of old, of every ancient culture, living within our own divine blueprint, or template rather. So when we activate, we are pretty much going to be like a repeat of the gods of Atlantis, or the gods of Olympus, overthrowing the tyranny of the titans. And the titans are, yes, they're sleeping giants that are, hidden perhaps under some caves. And some believe that, yes, they are. Some of them are in the ocean. But I believe that, if that were to happen, if these titans were to all of a sudden wake up from their chamber, their stasis chamber, a lot of us would activate and, like the X-Men, perform some sort of Operation Kick Butt and eliminate the titans, okay? In the event that happens, guys. But I don't foresee that happening in this timeline. I think perhaps in an alternative Earth, in a different timeline, perhaps that did happen. All right, so this is another good question. Greetings, Ishmael. How do we duplicate things? This is coming from Adriana, I believe. Is that your name, Adriana? Thank you for the donation, sister. I don't know if I understand your question about how do we duplicate things. If you're referring to like how do we manifest things, well, it's an alignment of your right and left hemispheres, putting all your focus, using your emotions and your mind, your thought forms, to pretty much materialize anything you want in life. It's a combination of different things. RD, thank you for the donation, brother, and thank you for the number one. Oh, Radiant Guardians, how's it going, brother? Radiant Guardians. Oh, sister, I'm sorry, based on the picture. I apologize. How's it going, sister? Radiant Guardians. My dear brother, thank you for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us. We are truly grateful to you and love you. Aw, thank you, sister. I love you too. You know, all this time I apologize. I thought Radiant Guardians was a male, but this whole time it was a female. My bad, sister, my bad. All I had to do was look at the picture and see that you are a female. I apologize for that, sister. You know, now that I think about it, as I recall being in these off-world super soldier programs, about 50% of the super soldiers that worked with Radiant Guardians were actually females. So perhaps you were part of those programs. Have you ever heard of Project Ibis or Project Oak Tree? All right, Roland Smith says, "Are young children going to age?" Very slowly, but they're going to reach a halt at the year of 30. Once they reach 30 years of age, they halt. They don't age anymore. Yes, okay, so Ricky Allen, to answer your question, the reincarnation chambers that were installed by the negative aliens, right, the Luciferian rebellion through Thoth and Marduk and Enki have been completely eliminating, guys. We're not going to be reincarnating into these lower third dimensional, avatars of flesh and bone. We're actually going to be going into a more advanced, less dense avatar that's going to live for longer years. Thank you, Avatar Ramsey. Appreciate the donation, sister. I'm trying to look for a question that is that actually everybody has. So as a reminder again, guys, in 2 days I'm going live with Antonia once again with a better streaming in order to make sure that you guys are able to hear what she discovered about anti-aging. Because I think that if you could learn how to master this technique, right, where you're constantly regenerating, you could actually use the same technique and begin to heal others. Because if you could heal yourself and regenerate your own body and completely cure or fix your wounds, if you have any wounds, then you could literally apply that same technique when it comes to others. Yeah, so that's what the light body is. It's the collapsing of the 7 spectral radiations, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, indigo, into pure white light, allowing us to vibrate at a higher frequency in hertz. Yes, there are other chakras above our heads that actually extend. For those that haven't taken my starseed astronomy, I'm sorry, my starseed cosmology, I really break it down into where these other outer chakras connect us to. It's very fascinating information about, because they are levels of consciousness that connect us beyond our physical body into the different parts of reality or creation. All right, so this is a good question by Nico Vasquez. Ishmael, hi from Tuscany, Arizona. Why is our DNA so important if our avatar is just that? Is the DNA so important if we aren't our bodies? Okay, first of all, my brother, we are only using 4% of our full genetic material. Do you know what the other 96% entails? That's where our crystalline, double diamond, etheric, and spiritual DNA exist. That's where it is, currently laying dormant. So the only reason these bodies are limited and they age and we are destructible is because we're only using the carbon matter or the carbon structure within, which is only the 4% of our entire genetic material. But as we begin to use the more genetic material, then we go beyond the carbon structure, genetic structure, and then we go into the crystalline, which is less destructible, and it doesn't age as fast. All right, and that explains why extraterrestrials that are using crystalline genetic structures, who are as physical as me and you, could come into our reality and look like they've been, living for thousands and thousands of years. Okay, that is the difference. But yeah, our bodies are the most important because we also harbor what is called the God Source gene. We, by the way, guys, we have the key within our genetic structure, within our dormant DNA, that opens up the gates to eternity. And that's why the dark forces, right? The AI time loops of the black sun entities, of the machineries, right? The artificial ones, cybernetic ones. That's why they're after us. And that's why our planet is the most coveted planet in the entire multiverse. Because we carry pretty much all the codings of the entire multiverse in one spot. Not to mention the key that unlocks the gates of eternity, all hidden within our genetic structure. And yes, we aren't really our bodies, just like we're not our mind and we're not our emotions. Those are all different vehicles that we need in order to explore the lower dimensions, guys. So as we go into higher levels of reality, our four body systems, which is our physical avatars, because we have different less denser avatars and higher densities or dimensions, our emotional body, our mental body, and our spirit are all going to become more as one. They're all going to be infusing as one, okay, as we go into higher dimensions. But so yes, our avatars are extension of our souls, all right? But they are not who we are. They're just vehicles that allows our consciousness to experience these realms or this particular reality. But again, guys, as a reminder, we have different avatars on every level of reality, all the way to the 12. Once we go beyond the 12th dimension, we go beyond any physicality. So yes, I did change my name to the real Ismael Perez because I've come to discover that after interviews, a lot of people like to look for me and the first thing they type is Ismael Perez YouTube. And so what do they get? They get all these imposters, all these pirated fake accounts. So I figure that if they type in Ismael Perez on YouTube when they're trying to find my real channel, when they see the real Ismael Perez as opposed to all those other fake accounts, they could hopefully click into that. What's that? Okay. Oh, so they've already copied us? See? Oh my God. Okay, so I was just told by my business partner that they've already copied my name, the real Ismael Perez. All they did was add an extra L. Beware of that, guys. I mean, these pirated channels are, even they do this even on my Instagram. It's pathetic at this point, guys. So they just created 2 more fake YouTube accounts. under the name The Real Ismael Perez, but they just added an extra L. All right, go figure. But at least you guys have my real channel where I'm actually going live every other night. And not to mention that I am going to be going live in 2 days, but not in the evening, guys. Tuesday at 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time, I will be going live once again with Antonia Harmon, because her information, her breakthrough information is really important for you guys to hear. All right, with that have said, thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure hanging out with you guys tonight. And I will see you guys Tuesday at 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Good night, my galactic Jedis. And may the God Force be with you.